Of 6 laps being completed, and they're coming up to the line now. It was a safety car that led to the alternative strategy being completed last year, and here they come up to the line. Chance for Victor Martins, if he can get a good start there on the front row, Alex, to try and get a move on Crawford.
Absolutely, down the inside, but it's a much dirtier side of the racetrack, very seldom used. It's a left-hander onto the front straight, and a left-hand chicane to bring the lap, so to begin the lap. So drivers generally driving down the right-hand side of that straight gives a huge delta in terms of grip across the front end of the grid. Options: Villa Gomez, Montoya, Miata, Correa, Mini, and Marti out front of the field.
DRS will become active after lap 1. It'll be open on lap 2 down to turns 19 and 22. Okay, here we go. Green flag is at the back of the field to the right of screen. Is Victor Martins. To the left, your pole sitter, Jack Crawford. And we are go for the feature race here in Jeddah. Great launch for Jack Crawford. He's going to lead us down to the first corner. Victor Martins will slot into second place. Fornaroli in the yellow. Invicta is in third. We're side by side there for P4. That's Arvid Lindblad making a move on Luke Browning, or is it? They're going to be side by side on the exit, on the run down to turn 4. Our newest winner in Formula 2 in the number 4. Lindblad has gone wide there, and he's going to lose a place on the exit to McLaren-backed Alex Dunn.
And it was Marti trying to make his way around the outside of Dunn as well. That didn't come off, so Dunn really working well in this first couple of laps. That Papaya liveried machine making its way through the middle of turn 10 now, but it was Crawford who was able to hold the lead down towards turn 1. Really strung out start to this one. Fornaroli sitting in third.
Two Campos Racing teammates, the Red Bull Juniors there, nose to tail. Alex Dunn, the in-form man, 2 podiums in as many races. He's now charging after number 7, Luke Browning, and here they come now. Down through the middle section. This great camera angle shows you how close they have to be to disaster every single lap to push the limits in Formula 2. Richard Verschoor in the orange MP is under pressure from the yellow Invicta of Roman Stanek for the last points available in this feature race as they now come down towards turn 22.
Richard Verschoor critically was the first driver on the grid on that medium compounder tyre, so keep an eye out for him. He's going to be the driver who runs the longest in that first stint. There he is in the MP car, making his way through the middle of the lap, just behind Gabriele Mini. He's got to hold on now because the super soft tyre is going to fire up much quicker for the drivers at the front.
Yes, and Verschoor there is being challenged by Stanek, who's also on that medium tyre, so that is our battle to watch a little bit further back. Alternative runners behind, we can see Kushmini has also gone for that, so 2 key battles to watch, obviously, for the lead. 1 for 9th place, and a great helicopter shot there shows us moves being made. Campos on Campos, Marti on Lindblad, Marti round the outside and now down the inside, and that'll give him 6th position.
DRS will be enabled, and it is Gabriele Mini who will think about a move then down towards turn 4. Nothing available on Lindblad for Gabriele Mini, but respectful racing between the two of them in the first complex of corners, looking over the rear wing of Marti. They're all going to get DRS this time round on the exit of turn 16.
They certainly will, and Crawford has not broken DRS for Victor Martins. It's 0.7 of a second, so as Alex said, they will all get that DRS available, and currently we will see pretty much all the drivers having access to that when we make that run. Down towards turn 22, it's on the exit of turn 17 where the detection zone is. Right, we watch Arvid Lindblad now, and he's being chased down by Gabriele Mini. Gabriele Mini in the pink Alpine livery just behind, and Richard Verschoor next along.
Verschoor doing well here, holding on that medium compound tyre. He'll be able to use the DRS now to keep him in the action, and when the super soft runners peel off relatively early, he's putting himself in a good position to have a nice, clean, clear stint and run the car all the way through to the end of the race. It's all going to depend on if there is a safety car, and if there is, where it falls in terms of the pit windows to which way this is going to play out. But going nicely for Verschoor, using all of that experience of his multiple seasons in the category. Moves further down though, Chris.
Yep, Miata down the inside of Sebastian Montoya. That is is a battle for P13. May have been defensive, but Miata and Montoya, what we do know for certain is they are battling over P13. The Mumbai Falcons livery of Montoya now moving to the inside. He's not alone though, he's got Cordial in the background, both on those super soft tyres, and that's Montoya now into 13th place.
Making his way up to Formula 2 after a couple of seasons of Formula 3 racing. It's a circuit that he's preferred to others that he's raced at the beginning of the year. Montoya finding his way further up the field. Let's have another look at the start then, and it was a really nice launch from Jack Crawford, using the grip on that right-hand side of the road. And look how strung out those first 3 arcs, because Fornaroli didn't actually get away that well. Dirksen is the AIX, the green and gold car, making his way up the inside. We're going to follow then down towards turn 4. Marty tries to make the move around the outside of the Papaya liveried car of Dunn. Dunn sees him off and then grabs a position from his teammate for good measure through the exit of turn 5.
This is how we're doing in Czech Republic, mate. Good job, mate.
Great stuff from Roman Stanek. Right, let's watch this on board from Pepe Marti then.
Yeah, strung out front. We've actually got a better launch than Dunn. That's the difference in terms of traction. Relatively conservative on the brakes. Enter stage left, the McLaren Junior. Going to have to give him a bit of room on the left-hand side. Now we're going to run side by side. There's our teammate Arvid Lindblad up ahead, trying to make the move around the outside. Joshua Dirksen was the car we picked out, making a move up the inside of turn 1. And he's going to be braver on the brakes in his medium compound tyre and find a lovely little gap there. Has to climb the curb a bit, but then uses the grip from the pit exit there to send it off down the straight behind Sebastian Montoya.
Very good driving from Joshua Dirksen, and a clean start all the way through. Good, respectful racing. And Luke Browning says hello to Leo Fornaroli there in 4th place in the mirrors as we are getting closer to pit stops being made here. Lap 4 we are on. When we get to the end of 6, we will see those being able to be made. Battle is developing between Lindblad and Mini here, Alex.
Magic moment at the front of the field. Crawford has cleared the DRS from Victor Martins. Victor Martins right on the limit of making that jump away from Fornaroli. So it'll be Martins who's under pressure. Now, look, the interval on the left-hand side. He's just done it. Fornaroli away from Martins. So there we go, strung out front. It'll now be Fornaroli who's under pressure from the Williams Junior Browning as we get into the DRS next time.
And for sure, as you mentioned, is hanging on to this battle as well. But this is a key moment in the race. As Alex said, Crawford has broken DRS, 1.3 seconds clear. This is the battle between Mini and Lindblad we are watching, and Vershaw is hanging on to them very well. Stanek is with him as well, having made a good start to this race. He's made 3 places. He was given a 3-place grid drop for impeding Dunn, which drops him from 10th to 13th, and he's made those places back quickly. Whoa, look up there for Fornaroli.
I'm also not seeing the DRS open. It was enabled, then disabled, then enabled again. And let's see if Luke Browning is able to take some speed out of Fornaroli in the way that we would expect in this final DRS zone of the lap. I don't think they've got DRS out there at the moment. I think the field are racing without that system. We'll watch the rear wings intensely as we come down the front straight here. Let's see if anybody picks up DRS. Fornaroli won't. He's too far away from Victor Martins, but we should see Luke Browning close on Fornaroli.
And no, it's not. His rear flap was not open there. So that's a good spot. I think you might be right in your suggestions there. As you said, it's been enabled, disabled, now enabled again. And we may be without that for the time being. So
there were several drivers picked up at the beginning of the race yesterday for using DRS when they shouldn't, but it shouldn't be available at any other time when the drivers are allowed to use it. So I wonder if we're having some technical issues with the DRS system. In any case, Jack Crawford moving away from Victor Martins and Fornaroli falling away from Victor Martins as well. So those top 3 cars would not be affected by that.
Fornaroli in 3rd place. That will be to his advantage. Browning in 4th. This is Stanek doing a good job in P10 as we ride on board now with Luke Browning. Just trying to pile the pressure here on Leo Fornaroli. Hasn't been able to make this move as of yet, but trying to force Fornaroli into a mistake here.
Yeah, moving towards the pit stop phase as well. For all of these drivers out front. Reminder for you, Richard Vershaw in 9th place MP, the leading car at the moment on the alternative strategy, and there are a gaggle of cars on the alternative strategy, and Fornaroli's wide through the mid-corner of 22.
Yeah, lock up for Fornaroli, albeit this time he went wide and over the curve, and now he's under all kinds of pressure into turn 27. Browning right there behind him, but chooses not to make his move into 27. Out of the corner we go, and Browning could have a chance into turn 1 here, Alex.
He's going to have the grip, he's going to have the toe, but the other thing he has is Alex Dunn right underneath his gearbox, and now he's got the DRS, and he's going to head round the outside.
And Browning now goes down the outside and says, thank you very much. Mistake from Fornaroli, good pressure driving, and now Dunn is going to go down the inside there of Fornaroli. A costly mistake for Fornaroli made at turn 22, and he's now lost 2 places.
Yeah, Dunn and Fornaroli battle their way then down to 4, but it's very difficult. Not a big enough braking zone to get back up the inside, and Dunn is going to demote the Formula 3 champion back down the order to 5th place. Alex Dunn looking like he had decent pace yesterday, decent pace again today, coming off the back of his first feature race win in Bahrain. The Rodin driver looking at a good result again here.
This was the move then. I believe this is going to be the moment into turn 22, Alex.
Fornaroli just locks up that front tyre, doesn't he, on the way in, obscured by the building there, but that's what causes it, and it's only a tiny bit wide. Luke Browning doesn't quite have the run down to 27, then takes the DRS down towards the first turn, and this DRS zone on the front straight here has been super powerful all weekend.
It has, and that is why Browning waited through 27 and then made his move into that corner and used the benefit of the DRS to do so. Good move by Dunn.
Yeah, launches the inside. Fornaroli did well, actually, to see him coming, and then thinks he's going to have the cut back through the exit. Does manage to get side by side with Dunn, but there's a lovely grippy traction patch on the outside there where the Formula 1 cars have been laying rubber down that's allowed Dunn to get away.
Fornaroli is struggling now. He is losing more positions. Gabriele Mini is looking to go through. Oh no, this is Stanek, sorry. Stanek side by side with Miney, his teammate, of course, Fornaroli's teammate. And now that is Mini running wide, and he's going to lose a place to Miney, and he's going to nip into pit lane. So here we go. We are seeing the first of the pit stops at the end of lap 6.
Yeah, we are. Marty in as well. So several cars in the pit stop. We've got Mini, we've got Marty, but they're keeping this super soft tyre perhaps longer in some instances than we expected. This flurry of pit stops will eventually release Richard for sure. Looked like a slightly slow left rear there for Fornaroli, but he gets out okay. Not quite that slow though. It's a nasty pit stop for Campos with Pepe Marti.
Pepe Marti slow in the stop there, just there at the Prema team, releasing Gabriele Mini. Here comes Ritomo Miata. So first stops being completed, and Pepe Marti not the best of runs through pit lane. There comes Gabriele Mini back out, was in that battle. So I think doing the right thing there just to get himself out of that, Alex.
Yeah, so it looks like about a 30-second loss, plus the tax of having to get this medium compound tyre up and running. This is the moment then that we saw the 2 Alpine juniors. That's Miney taking 1 place, then he takes a second through the exit with Mini running wide.
Mini was just trying to find a gap. Oh no, and that's a Van Amersfoort. That looks like John Bennett, who has picked up front wing damage, and he is going to come in and get that changed. And
ooh, a lot of debris on the road there though, and I do wonder if the drivers who stayed out for 1 lap on this super soft tyre are about to be rewarded. No, they're coming through this time. So that debris on the start-finish straight has not yet caused a stoppage, and they're going to stay out now, surely, just in case it does. No, Martins has come directly into the box, but it is Crawford. Oh no, it's Crawford has come into the box. Martins has made his way through, so Crawford deciding to jump.
Yeah, so race leader is in. Had to take avoiding action though on the way in, didn't he? And Jack Crawford is now in. He has got rid of those super soft tyres, and race leader in to put the medium tyre on. So Jack Crawford in, Browning in, Dunn in, Lindblad in. This is a key point of this race. Victor Martins staying out, and this is now a very important lap for him.
Victor Martins, it's an incredibly important lap for Victor Martins, and it's interesting to see what now race control will do, because if they throw a virtual safety car, Martins will not then be able to pit. Those are the rules in Formula 2. If it's a full safety car, it'll be a much cheaper pit stop for Martins. So let's see how that works out.
Let's see. Well, we'll watch Martins. He hasn't done a personal best, but we wouldn't expect that to happen on this stage at these tyres. Of course, when you come out of the pit lane, Alex, on these tyres, no tyre warmers, it's trying to get them up to speed around this circuit.
Yeah, that's the Formula 2 tax of getting the tyre up to speed, and that's why we see drivers come out ahead but then lose out later in that early lap. These critical laps for all those drivers bringing the medium in, and you can see Crawford there weaving, trying desperately to take the tyre temperature. This is not a high abrasion surface, and so it won't give them energy straight away.
Round turn 13, here is the onboard. This is Victor Martins going down to the final corner on what is a very important lap.
Yeah, so the circuit has stayed green. Victor Martins has stayed out. Richard Verschoor will be a lot longer yet. He's on the medium compound. So let's see if Martins chooses to jump into the pits this time. Looks like Megatunov has had an issue in the pit lane there with fitting the left front tyre. So to all intents and purposes out of the race, and Martins jumps for the pit road.
Here we come. Victor Martins is in, so he stayed out one more lap when Jack Crawford came in. So now it's about where he filters out as the ART team get to work.
Yeah, putting the tyres on for Victor Martins. Looked like a relatively good stop. Let's see where he comes out. Crawford is the man that we're watching. 11th place look in the dams, and Martins is going to be looking, if he possibly can, to filter out ahead.
There is Crawford, screen left. Here comes Victor Martins on the right. It's going to be a race to see where he emerges out. They're going to be almost side by side. Crawford to the left, Martins to the right. Martins is now ahead of Jack Crawford, but he is not on warm tyres.
Will he be able to get the tyre up to temperature quick enough? A big weave for Martins. Tries to find a little bit of front grip. Crawford, though, with a lap underneath the tyre, is homing in, and that's the difference you can see there in terms of grip. Can Martins fill the road with ART here and keep hold of the virtual lead of the race?
Of course, we do not get until a DRS zone until we get to 20 corners, so Martins has a little while to try and keep Crawford at bay, and he's defending into turn 13. Crawford goes to the outside. Virtual safety car is out.
Virtual safety car has been deployed, and that will be finally for that debris on the front straight, and that critically is going to normalise the tyre temperature between those two drivers that will be at the front of the group of the drivers who've pitted on that strategy option 1. So that has given Martins a great opportunity to try and build a little bit of tyre temperature with the virtual safety car out and hold on to that position.
Let's watch back at Leo Fornaroli here into the first corner. I think, is that Alex Dunn ahead of us on Browning?
Yeah, and Dunn's going to go across the inside curb and shovel Browning wide. Fornaroli picks up both.
What this guy's doing, man?
Well, it's the onus is on the driver who's been off the road to rejoin safely. Stewards may well have a bit of a look at that one. Let's look at it from Browning's perspective. We're going to cover the inside line. Dunn is all the way ahead, but then sends it off the road. And Browning has to take avoiding action as Dunn clambers back onto the racetrack. It's at minimum a position back, I think, from Dunn to Browning. Let's see if it gets noted by the race control on the stewards.
We'll see. It's on timing screen, Browning ahead of Dunn, so I'm going to assume that those positions have been swapped, but it's the manner in which he rejoined the circuit. Richard Verschoor is in the race lead. Of course, he's started on those medium compound tyres. He'll have to get rid of those and put the super softs on at some stage, and there are the pit stops to the left-hand side. So Martins down, they've all come in. The remainder all going longer in this race.
On pit out there, Amory Cordeal, and the understanding, as always in Formula 2, is the virtual safety car disallows pit stops. The only way he can do that is if he clears the line.
We go back to green racing. We think you need to give the position back to Browning.
So Rodin thinks so too, and that's a smart move. Getting out ahead of it, making sure it never actually reaches the stewards, because once it does, it's out of their hands. And in a close race like this one, a 5 or 10 second penalty is a lot greater penalty than having to get the move done again.
So that message coming through to Alex Dunn from the Rodin team, but this, as you mentioned, is given a great opportunity to Victor Martins, who has essentially taken the net lead of the race away from Jack Crawford and now has this virtual safety car time to get his tyres up to temperature. What will be going through Jack Crawford's mind?
Yeah, he'll be looking back at Victor Martins and trying to keep hold of the position. This primary strategy, this first strategy, looks to be the better one here. They're only 27 seconds off the lead as it stands. And of course, they'll have medium compound tyres, newer ones, through this stage of the race. So as they go back to green again, these two at this stage are racing for the victory of the feature race.
They are, and they're coming up to a DRS zone. They're in one, and they'll hit another one on the start-finish straight. Will Jack Crawford take his net race lead back then? Into the final corner we go, and Martins is going to have his hands full with the Aston Martin back driver, Jack Crawford. Down the start-finish straight we go, and there is the DRS flap opened of Jack Crawford. He wants this race lead back from Victor Martins, but Victor Martins is furiously trying to defend it. Wheel to wheel they go in towards turn one. Jack Crawford to the outside of Victor Martins, now down the inside through turn two, and they'll be side by side on the exit, fighting this one down to turn four. Is it going to be Crawford? Is it going to be Martins? Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Martins holds on for now.
Inches from the wall, Victor Martins strangles it through the outside of turn number two to keep hold of the position. The driver connected to Williams versus the driver connected to Aston Martin. This is Victor Martins' third season in Formula 2, the one that needs to work out for him, and he's fighting for his life and his career.
And I tell you what, for sure out front, we'll just be hoping these battles continue as they come through turn 13. Dunn, meanwhile, has allowed Luke Browning to go through. Great fighting this between Victor Martins and Jack Crawford. Fornaroli about 5 seconds behind this, so he'll be hoping these battles do continue. Jack Crawford now trying to just stay with Victor Martins and go again.
Trying to stay in the wheel tracks if he possibly can. A great turn of pace out front, right out front, for Richard Verschoor as well, who's trying his absolute best to lead that pack who are on the alternative strategy further through the race. At the moment, these two, though, that we have on screen now, would be well ahead by the time Richard Verschoor comes out of the pit lane. DRS, though, again available for Crawford.
Is he going to make his move into turn 27? It didn't work at turn one last time. Jack Crawford waits, though. He knows that an opportunity is available at turn one. He knows he's going to have a whole start-finish straight full of DRS. Wait for that rear flap to open. We're riding on board with Victor Martins. This essentially our battle for the lead of the race. This could be a huge moment for Crawford, who will now sweep past Victor Martins and go into P9.
Would you like a late break or a drive-by? I'll have a drive-by, please, and halve the bill, says Jack Crawford, and he takes what will be the net P1 away from Victor Martins.
Great driving there from Jack Crawford, and you could just see backing off into the final corner there. He knew that was all about waiting for that start-finish straight and then going through. Meanwhile, behind, Leonardo Fornaroli has just set the fastest lap of the race. He was once 5 seconds behind. He's now just over 4 as we jump on board with Pepe Martin.
Dunn has let Browning back through. That's occurred. This is the battle that we saw a few moments ago. Pepe Marti trying to make his way through. At the moment, this is over 12th, 13th and 14th, but it will not be by the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to, of course, take them further up the field once those pit stops are completed for the top 8. Those are the drivers. We await for them to come in a little bit later on. Fornaroli there, we see go through. He's doing great sector times in trying to chase down Crawford and Martins, and then this our battle being led by Luke Browning, Alex Dunn, who gave that position back to him on the restart of the virtual safety car, and then it is Pepe Martin, Gabriele Mini also in there as well. Arvid Lindblad is just over 2 seconds back.
Browning, the driver who has already been behind the wheel of a Williams Formula 1 car this season, trying to hold up Dunn. Pepe Marti, the Red Bull Junior driver. Looks like Dunn's going to have an option to the inside. Great dive there from Pepe Marti, grabbing the apex of 27, and that was clean and tidy. But did Dunn let him through to take the DRS back down the front straight? He's going to have a problem though. Marti's got it too, so he's going to have to go down the outside of turn one.
The two drivers tied for the lead in the championship now, wheel to wheel into turn one, and Pepe Marti, that was very good driving there. managed to get the move done into the final corner and held off any challenges from the Irishman into the first corner. Gabriele Mini, watching on in the background, will now be plotting his attack on how he gets by the Rodin Motorsport driver.
Current fourth place man, Ollie Goethe, has been picked up for a virtual safety car infringement, so we'll watch out for that one. There goes Marty to the inside of Dunn. Dunn not too fussed until he realises that Browning is going to be giving out the DRS as well, has to battle all the way down the front straight and essentially then losing out to Marty on that first apex of the lap.
He does, and Jack Crawford is just on a purple first sector trying to break the DRS on Victor Martins, and it looks like he may have just done that. They are now split by just over 1 second, so Jack Crawford doing very well, and we focus our attention to this battle. Another key moment for Jack Crawford. Did that in the early stages of the race, and he is doing it again, putting in very good sector times. Meanwhile, Browning is having to soak up a lot of pressure here, Alex, from Marty, Dunn, and then next along Mini. It's going to be Pepe Marty next to try and attack Luke Browning.
Just keeping the rest of them out of trouble with the DRS. Browning has it under control for the moment, but for how long? Going to be under pressure now again, surely. And Marty being really patient down towards turn 27. Big swapper through the exit for Pepe Marty. And has Browning just got the traction to keep Marty under control in the big braking zones?
He may well do so, but Pepe Marty is full of confidence this season. He's full of confidence this weekend, and he's going to go down the inside at turn 1. Browning running wide under braking there, and Pepe Marty is going to be behind for the time being, but he will feel he'll need to get by Luke Browning. Will he feel he should be by Luke Browning at this stage?
Yeah, he's holding them up now, isn't he? And he's really putting a lot of time into their total race here, Luke Browning. I think he's okay to hold on to that position. It was a bit of a lunge from Pepe Marty. You've got to ask yourself how long Browning can hold on. Let's have a look at it down the inside. Marty only gets to the rear tyre there, look. Browning appearing to have the car under control. It's generally right front tyre up against cockpit
yeah, come on,
there.
he was never making the corner. Never making the corner, him.
Oh, interesting to see what race control and the stewards think of that one. Speaking of good sector times, valiant effort from Richard Verschoor out front, who's stabilised the gap here. He's doing the same lap on lap as Crawford's doing on a much newer medium tyre. So Richard Verschoor, most experienced driver in the field as it sits, the Dutchman, is finding something out of that older set of mediums to keep him in the action. 21 seconds is the total gap back now. That's more than a pit stop, but it's still a pretty impressive stint.
And this battle is helping Richard Verschoor out. I tell you that. This will play into his favour. The fact that Browning is having to deal with pressure from Marty, Dunn, Mini. These are fourth in the queue in terms of the drivers that have stopped. But this could all work in Richard Verschoor's favour if he can keep putting in those sector times, as Alex has highlighted. Quickest through the first sector again on the last lap. Okay, let's ride on board with Luke Browning. Once again, having to try and break the toe. Pepe Marty's going to try the outside. This time, is he going to go all the way around the outside of Luke Browning? He's wide through turn 2. They've gone wheel to wheel again, and Luke Browning emerges ahead.
And is Browning going to blend out of that one and give Marty the position? The problem that he's got is if he does so, then Dunn has all of the opportunity to make the pass on him. That's going to be a tough decision for Luke Browning. Perhaps a judgment call for the team on the pit wall, as we just heard at Rodin.
Alex Dunn, the best seat in the house there, right behind for that one. Pepe Marty most likely will be on the phone. Let's watch it once again.
Yeah, Pepe Marty returning this season. Tries to get around the outside of the driver who took to 6 races before he started this first full season of Formula 2, and I think Marty's got the corner there. When you look at it at the apex, pretty much side by side, and I don't know if Browning will be happy to keep hold of that one.
Well, it was a familiar view yesterday. Pepe Marty on the exit, slots back into Browning, and he is becoming increasingly difficult to get past. Meanwhile, you did allude to it, Richard Verschoor is keeping a very good gap to the drivers who have come through. Particularly, you highlighted there, 24 seconds to Victor Martins. Jack Crawford has built a gap to him, But Richard Verschoor clearly fired up, I think, from the events that unfolded yesterday, Alex, and he wants to get a good result.
He was 0.6 of a second quicker than Crawford
Wow.
last time around, as Browning's under pressure again down onto the front straight. This is a monster stint from Richard Verschoor, and he's driving himself back into contention for the win.
He really is. 3.8 seconds ahead of Miney. Okay, on board with Marty. Down this start-finish straight. Will he complete the move on Browning this time? It looks like he's done it before the braking zone. Dunn side by side with Browning. Browning goes wide, and it's going to be Marty, who is now ahead of Browning. Browning, though, ahead of Alex Dunn. Dunn was down the inside, but Browning emerges in the lead.
It's like a penalty loop, isn't it? Down in turn 2. There were Mini was through there a couple of times yesterday. Today it's Browning. When they get in the battles like this, jumping across that middle apex, and it's a shame to see, but a reality of the modern nature of modern racetracks. This one with far less runoff than most. Here it is then. Dunn gets down the inside. Browning chooses to cut across the apex of the chicane and will hold on to that position.
Dunn will feel he should be ahead on this stage. I must say that we are seeing track limits come up for Browning when that has happened. You've got to be careful you don't exceed track limits too many times. That can lead to 5-second penalties.
We did see penalties yesterday, didn't we, for leaving the track and gaining an advantage exactly there.
So it's something to be monitored. Now, whilst all of that has been going on, Alex, one Red Bull Junior leads the queue, the other one's at the back. Lindblad has closed down a 2-second gap. He is now on the back of this as we see Alex Dunn run wide.
Now, after a brilliant race yesterday, Arvid Lindblad has found himself towards the back of this queue of primary strategy runners today. Let's see what sort of pace he can have to make a move through the field. You've got Ollie Goethe trying to make a move as well, under investigation or being discussed for a potential safety car infringement. It's Roman Stanek ahead of us in the Invicta, and these guys are all following along behind Richard Verschoor, although it's a decent gap back. Verschoor has left Miney like no one's business. 5.2 seconds. He's by so far the quickest of these alternate strategy runners.
He just did the fastest lap of the race as well.
Stanek went off coming to defend this position.
Ollie Goethe not pleased with the defensive moves of Roman Stanek. Ollie Goethe has been in the points once this season. Stanek has been there twice, and those two disputing third place on track, but they both yet to serve their pit stop in this race. Now, Arvid Lindblad, we mentioned, has joined the back of this queue. There he is, the youngest winner in Formula 2. Will that give him the confidence? No, he needs to start making an impact on this battle. Has arrived there, but getting to the queue is one thing, making moves is another.
Yeah, these drivers battling away through this mid-pack from sort of Marty downwards. I wonder if the team are going to get on the radio to them there and just say, look, you've got Richard Verschoor pushing away at the front of the field. Still owes you a pit stop. You're teetering on the edge right now of whether he comes out in front of you or not. Just stop battling for a minute and get off up the road. Let's have a look at Ollie Goethe trying to make another move on Stanek. That's a late lunge, Ollie. Stanek gives him room on the apex. Let's see if he's got the traction through the exit, though.
Ollie Goethe trying to get the move done on the exit. Roman Stanek is going to have to go defensive into turn 4, and Ollie Goethe will look to the outside. Great onboard view this through a demanding section on the track.
You see how much they're now having to lift. That giving you a feel for the degradation. It's mostly front tyre degradation here. There's not a huge amount of it. It's a low energy circuit in general, but you do start to lose that grip and bite of the front tyre, especially as we're moving later on into the medium compound stint. Another purple first sector from Richard Verschoor, and he is 3 or 4 tenths clear of what Crawford did, leading the alternative, the other strategy pack in 8th position last time around. So continuing on, Miney's also picking up the pace slightly with a best first sector for him, just 5 seconds down the road from Verschoor.
Incident under investigation, Browning and Dunn. And there it is at the top of your screen, forcing another driver off the track. So we will see if anything comes of that. We saw that a little bit earlier in the race when Dunn rejoined the circuit into the path of Browning. So we'll see if anything comes of that as we see this battle coming through now the middle section of the circuit, sector 2. Meanwhile, Verschoor continuing, still set fastest sectors. He's 29 seconds ahead of Fornaroli, Alex.
Trying to make up for a race he so easily could have won yesterday, losing out to a penalty, having led the field across the line. Oliver Goethe, let's have another look at it then. He's going to have to go down the outside of T1.
Down the outside, Ollie Goethe goes, side by side we go. He's going to look for a cutback. He was wise to the defensive move of Stanek there. Ollie Goethe slots in behind, top of screen. Black and white flag for Browning for track limits. We noted this earlier, Alex. If you run wide through the likes of turn 2, you will be noted for track limits, and that is essentially your final warning.
Yeah, you get picked up for it, and then eventually you will pick up a penalty. Pepe Marti still making his way through and trying to hold this battle pack behind, as he has been for most of the race, ever since he made his way past Browning. There are some quite specific regulations, quite specific guidelines around who owns the road when they go side by side down into a corner like that first chicane. If you're on the inside and you have the tyre up against the cockpit, then you own the road. If you're on the outside, you need to be front tyre to front tyre, and I see a penalty coming in then for Dunn.
Yes, 5-second time penalty for Alex Dunn for forcing another driver off the circuit. So that has just come in for Alex Dunn. He has been given a 5-second penalty, so his race now becomes more difficult. There you can see pit stop. You mentioned this earlier, Alex. Around 30 seconds your average time loss, plus the extra to get the tyres up to temperature. The gap between Verschoor and Jack Crawford, 25 seconds, and he will have faster tyres when he comes back out onto the circuit, and that's because he continues to put in fastest laps. Guess what? He's just done the fastest lap again.
It's a real difficult balance now for MP. So they're going to decide how long they give Verschoor to try to hang on to this tyre. We've got action then again down towards turn 1. Goethe still trying to make the move on Stanek, and that is a move back again for Stanek. Can Ollie Goethe do anything about it through the exit? It's Joshua Dirksen in close pursuit.
Joshua Dirksen right there behind. We're waiting for the top 7 to come into pit lane, these drivers included, and Ollie Goethe trying to get by Roman Stanek. He's tried that move on a number of times. We're getting closer and closer to crucial pit stops.
But the call they need to make now for Verschoor is, are they going to try and wait for a safety car and get him out for sure into the lead of the race on the best compounder tyre, or are they going to give him the maximum that they possibly can in terms of time to make his way through the field and gamble that they'll lose out on any kind of safety car benefit? That's what's going on the MP pit wall right now. They need to decide when to pull the trigger and what's going to give Verschoor the best opportunity to storm back through that leading pack and win the race.
It will all be going on. The conversations on the pit wall, like you said. Meanwhile, their message to Verschoor is just keep putting in those fastest sector times, and he's doing it superbly so far. Out front, 7.4 seconds ahead of Kushmaini. And he's finding pace where none of these guys can.
Yeah, it's a relatively short pit lane as well in terms of a drive-through time here. It's quite a long pit lane in terms of distance, but not a lot of it is speed limit controlled. So Verschoor won't lose as much as he might at other venues. It's going to be all about getting that tyre up to temperature, but critically as well, of course, it's the super soft tyre. It comes to you quicker. He's going to have less fuel in the car when he goes for it, and you've got a car jumping for the pit lane.
And this is Verschoor's teammate, Ollie Goethe, who has come in for MP Motorsport. So he will now make his pit stop. He will get rid of those medium tyres, and he will put on the super soft tyres. So this is almost a pre-run for them when they bring in Richard Verschoor. Ollie Goethe will now come in. Let's see where this filters him out to. He's been in that fight with Roman Stanek, with Joshua Dirksen. Ollie Goethe a bit slow away at the end there, but he has now completed his stop.
4 mechanics, 4 guns. That's a warm-up for the team, isn't it? And a feel for how quickly this super soft tyre is going to warm up. Let's see where Ollie Goethe feeds back out. That'll give us a really good clue as to how long this pit stop process is and how much he struggles through the pit exit, just behind Sebastian Montoya. So from a decent way back from his teammate, he's filtered out into the mid to lower pack of those option tyre first runners.
let's see where he goes. He has dropped around 26, 27 seconds. It's around a 30-second loss in terms of the pit stop. Leo Fornaroli is 31 seconds back, and I think that's the driver we've got to look at in terms of Richard Verschoor. Meanwhile, we are looking at Pepe Marti and Luke Browning.
Well, if that was a 26-second stop, it was not the best stop I've ever seen them do at MP. So that gives you a feel for where Verschoor might filter back out. And then, as you say, Chris, he's going to have better tyres for the remainder of the race. You're looking over the rear wing of this pack that just cannot leave each other alone, can they, these guys, with the amount of DRS that's being given out. Pepe Marti looks like he's got the better pace of all of them and is able to hang on to it. He, though, is moving towards the rear of Cian Shield, so that's going to give him a little bit of DRS look and keep him out of trouble for now.
It is. There they come down. Pepe Marti will pick up that DRS of Shields, who is yet to make his stop, and he will do so this time. He gets out of the way, and it looked as if for a while Pepe Marti was going in, but he was getting all of the slipstream he could in the background. Alex Dunn coming under a bit of threat there from Mini, but Verschoor continues to set fastest sectors. He's almost making the decision for MP Motorsport to just leave me out as long as you can, because I'm doing the fastest sectors, fastest laps of the race. Meanwhile, Pepe Marti, we ride on board with now looking back at Luke Browning with Alex Dunn next along.
This battle washing through this early sector of the lap, so hard for drivers to retain the front grip, trying to keep air over that front wing all the way through here and try and stay close to the driver ahead. Gives you a sense of the challenge when they're racing wheel to wheel around here. Every ounce of tow, though, you can have so important. Over 75% full throttle percentage here in a Formula 1 car. It's a little bit less in Formula 2 with the amount of downforce they have, but still a monumentally quick over 6 kilometre layout with these huge flat out sections. Highest speed recorded here, 320 kilometres per hour plus, and they're a sense of the average pit stop loss. It will be a little bit less here for Richard Verschoor. Fastest lap of the race, 46.8 last time around. That's another half a second he's taken out of the pursuing pack, and he's driving himself into it. This is a monumental drive for Verschoor. Miney comes in.
So Kush Miney in and Roman Stanek in. Okay, super soft tyres going on for them. And now they will go back out to the end of the race. And here is Roman Stanek making his stop.
Roman Stanek in and out. Invicta doing the business. Maybe slight hold there for the Alpine Junior machine that made its way through. That was Miney stopped slightly earlier. And they'll filter back out onto the racetrack. So it's Dirksen is Dirksen, Boganovic and Esterson, the only cars remaining stopped.
And there is Miney in the background coming out with the likes of Stanek. I think we do need to look to the likes of Fornaroli here and possibly Martins when Richard Verschoor comes into pit lane. Okay, we watch Marty. I think you might be right though, Alex. I think the drivers in this battle might have just been told we do have some laps to go in this race. It seems to have just settled down slightly for the time being. That could grow in intensity once the laps tick on, and it will be a case of who's looked after their tyres.
Yeah, get on with it, lads. You're going to have to see off all of those drivers on the alternative strategy, and they are going to be coming through with the super soft tyre. The question, the only question for this race now is how long do they wait with Verschoor? Dirksen's got a turn of pace as well. Fastest first sector of anyone, although he is 12 seconds behind, and we're hearing Richard Verschoor is in. Where he filters out will be the biggest factor in the victory for this one.
This is a very big pit stop for MP Motorsport. The crew await for him to come in. Richard Verschoor did not take the victory yesterday. Can he now go and do so today? It may all rely on this pit stop for MP Motorsport. It's a good pit stop, and Richard Verschoor is away. Right, where does he come out now in terms of Crawford, in terms of Martins, in terms of Fornaroli? There comes Crawford, bottom of your screen. He's going through turn one. Martins looks level with him as they come through turn one. He's behind Crawford, but he's ahead of Victor Martins, Alex.
He's a head-to-head duel then with the two drivers out front. If Richard Verschoor can get these tyres up to temperature and do exactly what we saw Victor Martins try and do earlier on in the race. Make that MP as wide as possible while he builds tyre temperature. Critical track position for Verschoor if he wants to win this feature race after being denied yesterday.
He has to hold off the challenges here of the Williams back driver, Victor Martins, and we jump on board with Victor Martins now.
Pursuing him down towards the banked turn 13. This is where that front tyre needs to work for Verschoor, and he's gone a little bit wide there, giving Martins the opportunity, tucking the nose inside, but he looks like he's kept the MP out of trouble from Victor Martins at the moment. Ignore 4th and 5th. This is the battle for 2nd when all the pit stops shake out, and Richard Verschoor looks like he's done it and can head off up the road after Jack Crawford. Crawford with the track position, Verschoor with the better tyres. This is a typical Formula 2 feature race battle.
Richard Verschoor now giving DRS to Victor Martins, who's using that to close back in. We come into another DRS zone now. This is crucial for Richard Verschoor. He's getting a good exit there. Will he do enough to break that DRS? There is Victor Martins, DRS wide open, closing in on Richard Verschoor, who's checking his mirrors. He's scanning them. Where is Victor Martins? The answer right behind you as they come into that hairpin.
Yeah, he is, and he's going to be under pressure down the front straight. He's not quite close enough to Crawford to pick up the DRS. He's going to have a job here to keep him behind two of the most experienced drivers we have in the field. Victor Martins in his 3rd season, Verschoor in his 5th. They know about these tyres, they know about these cars, and they know how easy it is to make the move if you have the car in the right position in the DRS, but Martins doesn't. Verschoor with all the traction and with all the track position.
Needed to stay ahead in that DRS zone, and Richard Verschoor does. That is a critical moment in this race. Complete for Richard Verschoor. He stayed ahead of Victor Martins. Now look at the benefit of those super soft tyres on Richard Verschoor. 3.2 seconds is the gap to chase. Lap 25 of 28, and now it's all about getting after the net race leader, Jack Crawford, Alex.
Fastest first sector of the race on the new super soft tyres. 4/10 out of Jack Crawford in the first sector alone, and with lap 25 of 28 being put in the books, there's a plenty of time for Verschoor to go about it as well. It's that middle stint on the medium compound tyre that's put him in this position. Dirksen has been picked up for a pit lane infringement, sitting down in 13th place at the moment, but the action is all here.
It really is. The chase is on for Richard Verschoor. We look back again at this battle, which will continue to pursue. We still wait for the likes of Beganovic and Esterson to come in, and that will then put Jack Crawford to the lead, 2.7 seconds ahead of Verschoor, but it's coming down with every single corner. Alex Dunn still chasing after Luke Browning, who is still tracing after Pepe Marti. These two have been swapping places, they have been battling, and we could see more exchanges again on this front straight.
No further investigation from Miney with regards to moving under braking, so that'll be a relief for Dams as they continue their race on. It's been a very eventful race as well for Luke Browning. Plenty of decisions to make and battles to be had side by side, though, down towards turn 1.
Arvid Lindblad round the outside of Gabriele Mini. Great move that from Lindblad, and he has gone by Gabriele Mini. That move had been a long time coming. Arvid Lindblad had been very patient in his approach there, just working on Gabriele Mini for a number of laps. He's now through. Don't count out Kushmani in the background. He's on quicker tyres, 2.3 seconds back. Joshua Dirksen right with him has just set the fastest lap. Those two on the same strategy as Richard Verschoor are flying at the moment, and they could pick up a lot of places if they can catch that group. We jump on board with Jack Crawford. Where is Richard Verschoor is the question. There he is, 1.8 seconds back.
Yeah, Miney as well, and Dirksen, as you correctly say, Chris, around 3 seconds back at the beginning of this lap from that group of Gabriele Mini, Lindblad and Dunn. And they could easily drive their cars well into the points here if they have a similar kind of pace to Verschoor. Purple middle sector again for the Dutchman, and he's heading into that gap, isn't he? So quickly it's coming back. Will Crawford be able to do anything about him? Half a second more puts Verschoor in DRS, and then Crawford's really got problems out front.
We could be in for a last lap shootout here at Jeddah between Jack Crawford and Richard Verschoor. Richard Verschoor turns it out of turn 27. We have 2 laps to go here at Jeddah, and Richard Verschoor is chasing down Jack Crawford. He has used the alternative strategy to move himself up into a net second place, and now he has just over a second to catch Jack Crawford, and he's 3/10 away from DRS as Dino Beganovic comes into pit lane.
Final pit caller is Beganovic, and it's between these two, Crawford and Dams, coming into this weekend without scoring through the first phase of the year. He's managed to put the car on pole, and he's driven a great race so far. Will he be denied at the last by Verschoor, the driver who was 5th in the championship last year, moving in to Aston Martin's Young Driver Development Programme? The American driver is going to have to repel on all borders here as the MP driver just creeps into DRS range, and he's got 3 zones to do it on this penultimate lap.
Will he get it done on this lap? Will it be a move going on to the final lap of the race? Can Jack Crawford put up the defence to hold off the hard-charging Dutchman? In the background, it'll be Dams Lucas Oil versus MP Motorsport. Jack Crawford versus Richard Verschoor. Who will come out on top? We've had 4 different winners in 4 races in Formula 2. There will be a 5th different one between these two as we get ready to go head-to-head, Alex.
Crawford shimmied up against the wall through the exit of turn 16. DRS open, looking over the rear wing of the driver who will lead the race when the pit stops have fully shaken out. We remain Esterson out front, but he will have to come in and take his mandatory pit stop, and there's the traction, and surely this is going to be a drive-by pass down towards turn 1 for Verschoor.
Looking back from Jack Crawford, there is Richard Verschoor, DRS enabled, and he will fire his way through to the lead of the race. But Jack Crawford trying to get back down the inside. Richard Verschoor has done it though. From 9th place on the grid, Richard Verschoor has fired his way up into the lead of the race. A superb drive in the alternative strategy, and Richard Verschoor has driven his way through to the lead of the race on the final lap. Outstanding driving through the middle of the race, and he's going to clear Crawford. This is when the move was really already done. He's just got so much more grip and so much more purchase down towards turn 1. Crawford thought about it back down the inside, but he knows in his heart of hearts that he just plain does not have the rubber underneath him to do anything about that. In the background, Victor Martins 1.2 ahead of Fornaroli. Kush Maini has gone into the points, and he's 7/10 behind Mini as well. But this has been superb from Verschoor, who will take the championship lead, Alex.
Certainly will. Through the exit of turn 16, plain sailing now, glory mode to the line. Put 1.9 seconds into Crawford, who fought valiantly throughout that one, and will score brilliant points for Dams, great points as well for Victor Martins. But it's been all about the race performance for this man, returning to MP, where he's felt so at home throughout so much of his motorsport career, and he's shown us everything he's learned, Richard Verschoor, with an outstanding drive.
Richard Verschoor through the final corner. The streets of Jeddah denying him a win yesterday, but when they did, Richard Verschoor fought back, and he will not be denied victory today. Richard Verschoor across the line. He takes his first win of the Formula 2 season, his 5th win of his career, driving MP Motorsport to a win and to the top of the championship standings. Well done to Richard Verschoor. What a drive on the alternative strategy. Jack Crawford finishing in 2nd place, Victor Martins in 3rd place. What a battle across the line there for the lower point scoring positions. But Richard Verschoor thought he was denied victory this weekend. When that happened, he responded in the best possible fashion with one of the most superb drives I think we've ever seen him do. One of his best victories, and one that will go down in memory.
Maini just unable to clear Mini for 9th position there, but a Sterling drive as well to move his way back into the points, maximising that alternative strategy. But they could not hang with Verschoor through the middle of the race. 8 seconds the gap back to the pursuing drivers on exactly the same tyre and exactly the same strategy at certain stages. Truly, truly impressive.